Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's another bloody drought. Where is the news?
There is
I
no
swear,
news.
we are so buggered at the moment. It's like, we have no news. Usually we're drowning in news. Now we have nothing.
And just like last time, there's probably people saying like, "Oh, you should talk about this thing, or you should talk about this thing," and it's like, well, either A, we haven't heard about it, or B, we don't really have anything to say about it.
Or it's been so long now that it's not as relevant.
Yeah, there are some things that you see, and you're like, "What can I say about this?"
Yep. Especially when it's already been done by other people, like the Dying Light 385 grand edition.
Or like, sometimes it's hard to sort of comment about something when somebody else sort of perfectly nails it on the head. Like, for example, this news is a bit old, but you know the whole Godus situation with Peter Molyneux?
Oh, Godus, yes.
Yeah, I do some freelance work for a games journalism site, and I was thinking of doing like an opinion piece on that. Then I watched Jim Sterling do his, and I was like, you know what? There's no point, because he pretty much hit the nail on the head there.
I will definitely say that I definitely agreed with Jim on that one. I still think, however, that the rock paper shotgun interviewee was a little bit. Maybe don't start off.
It got
your
proper
interview.
harsh, but
Yeah, it needed to be harsh at times. I think though.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that always didn't think that Molyneux was all that, because I remember first hearing about him when I was studying game design back at university, and when I heard about the shit that he pulled with Fable and all that, I was like, "Are you joking? He actually did this?" And then I sort of felt like I was the only one who was sort of aware of this, because everyone else was talking about how great a games designer he was, a great developer he is. Then this shit happened, and suddenly everyone's like, "You do realise that Molyneux's been pulling this shit for years, right? This isn't the first time he's done that."
Yeah, Peter Molyneux is Jim Sterling again exemplified him perfectly. He's not the guy in the trenches. He's a great talker, and you can tell he loves talking about video games. But he's not the one that should be in charge.
He's not got a filter. That's his problem.
No. No, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, Molyneux to me always felt like an 8-year-old kid on a sugar rush.
Yes.
He's got he's like you said, he's clearly passionate about what he does, and I can't fault him for that. It's good that he enjoys.
I'd rather have that than just here's another video game, the 7th one in a row.
Yeah, it's good that he enjoys what he does, but the problem is the fact that he is, as Jim Sterling himself described it. We're going to be repeating Jim Sterling a lot on this on this subject, but it's an endless cycle of him over-promising stuff. And then when he fails to deliver, he then immediately says, "Yeah, no, that game was shit. But this game that I'm now doing is going to be amazing. It's going to have all it," and it just ends. And I think the reason why Godus has very much been so talked about is because he hasn't just overhyped another game, and failed to deliver on it. He overhyped a game and failed to deliver on it with other people's money.
Yep.
Because now people had actually given him money for this and got nothing back, because if you weren't aware, Godus was a Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. And now it's given Kickstarted games a bad name. When there are Kickstarted games that have come out and they've been great, like Divinity Original Sin was really good, Wasteland. These were Kickstarted and did really well and showed that Kickstarted games on early access can be good and can not just be the usual drivel that usually ends up on there. But then we get this, and it's like, oh, it's another one that's failed. It's like, no.
It's doubly insulting, though, because it had Molyneux's name attached to it, so people were more inclined. You're more inclined to donate your own money to something when you know that one of the people working on it has been doing this stuff for years, and then to give away your hard-earned money, and then be told that the game that you've helped fund basically is basically nothing at this point, and the development team just seems to have been doing nothing but fuck about.
It's one of those Laura Kay on the Podquisition said it best. Don't give this man your money on the promise of a product. Don't. It's not a good idea.
I actually do wonder if Molyneux will, because he did say in an interview that he was going to stop talking to the press.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I do. Again, it does make me wonder if he's actually going to abide by that. And it's actually kind of weird how, because I looked at his interview with The Guardian, and then I looked at his interview with Rock Paper Shotgun, and it is so jarring because The Guardian interview portrays him as this very sort of broken, dishevelled man who's he's been having to have to deal with all these sort of like abuse he's been getting because of his failure to deliver on Godus. He does sound like broken in that interview. You then get to Rock Paper Shotgun, where he's just sort of repeating himself and trying to sort of second guess the interviewer. Like he's saying, like, "Oh, I know what you're going to say in the interview."
Other way round. It was the Rock Paper Shotgun interview first. Oh, and that's where it all started. And then the Guardian interview was actually done by Laura Kay.
Oh, okay.
And she kind of knew what happened in that one, so she kind of came into this one being a little bit more sympathetic, but still asking the harder questions later. She played it smarter, I think. It's like you still want to ask the hard questions, and you do need to be harsh, especially with someone like Molyneux, who is, as he is, this very big, exemplified, I'm going to overhype this game to hell, even though it doesn't deserve it. Ubisoft should hire him for that. But still kind of not so much hold back, but be kind of nice at the beginning so you get a good flow, if you know what I mean.
I get where you're coming from, but I do feel like, yeah, Rock Paper Shotgun were definitely overly harsh in some areas, but they were very much speaking to Molyneux as the people reading that interview, because because there are people who, like, obviously donated their money to this, who are justifiably furious that the game that they've paid for is basically nothing at this point.
I do agree with that, but I also think that at times the interviewer was acting a little... Total Biscuit said this, but I was thinking this beforehand. He was acting like Jeremy Paxman in the worst way, and it's like, you don't want to do that. You will actually lose a lot of chances to get interviews because people think, oh god, no, we're going to get that treatment.
I get where you're coming from, yeah, but
not to say you shouldn't be asked the hard questions. You should definitely be asked the hard questions, but you just need just a little bit of tact, I think.
After watching the Jimquisition video on the Godus situation, I am beginning to find it hard to feel sympathy for Molyneux because I knew that he had a tendency to do it, but I wasn't aware that this was actually a massive problem that nobody seemed to be talking about. Because
he's been doing it for years.
You watched the video, and with every Fable game that he worked on, he did the exact same thing. He said he overhyped Fable 1, saying how great it was going to be. Fable 1 proved to be not as great as he said it was. And then when Fable 2 was being worked on, he went, yeah, Fable 1 was just absolute garbage. Fable 2 is going to be where it's at. Fable 2 failed to deliver, and then during production for Fable 3, he was like, yeah, Fable 2, that was just complete rubbish. And it's like, okay, Molyneux, there's a difference between acknowledging your mistakes and trying to pass them off as just being like, oh, yeah, that was rubbish, ignore all that. But no, I'm definitely... It gets very hard to forgive somebody when they keep doing this. This is the kind of shit that you teach your kids when they're in primary school, you know. You got
You're definitely right.
You say to them, don't do this, don't do that. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And you're like, okay, just so you learn. And then they do that shit again. And then you have to sit them down and be like, okay, no.
What did I tell you? I definitely agree. I think this actually exemplifies what he needs. He needs to be treated like how David Cage and George Lucas need to be treated.
They need to have
someone behind them just whacking them at the back of the head going, nope, you're not doing that. You're doing it like this. Come on, let's have a little bit of control. Because
they need to have somebody who is sort of like... to sort of rein them in. I'm sure I'm repeating myself from a previous episode. I think maybe I could be being incredibly presumptuous here, but I wonder if the reasons why people like Molyneux, Lucas, and Cage are able to get away with a lot of the rubbish that they pull out is because maybe they do have somebody who's been given the job of trying to rein them in, but because Molyneux and Lucas and all that have got such influence that
they're too scared to. And you're actually right on George Lucas. I think they talked about this ages ago, that when they were doing the prequel movies, no one wanted to stand up against him on some of his more weirder decisions for those movies.
Yeah, it's kind of I'd hate to be somebody like that, to be somebody in a position of power and have nobody tell me if like what I'm doing is bad. Because I've always felt that as somebody who's obviously a big, I did creative writing at university as well, and of course James, you did acting at uni,
and directing as well.
Exactly, we've both come from that sort of creative background, and we have that interest in that creative field. But I would hate to be, to write something and give it to somebody, and then for just say no, it's good. Because then I'd be like, okay, but what's good about it? Oh, it's just
the
good.
Worst thing to hear. It's like, no. You need to tell me what's wrong. I need to know.
It's like when I used to, because I did go through a fan fiction writing phase, and at first it was
We all
great.
did.
At first it was great because I got I wasn't getting tons of reviews, but I was getting reviews that were like, oh yeah, this is good. But as the years went on, and I would read a review for a chapter that said, oh yeah, this chapter was great. In my head, I'd be thinking, why though? Why is it great?
Give me some constructive feedback.
And then more years went past, and I actually started to reread what I wrote, and I was like, how can anyone like this? What was I on?
Oh, I know that feeling as well. I did exactly the same thing. And it's exactly right. It's like when people think of constructive feedback, they think, oh yeah, don't be negative. It's like, no, it's also being positive. If you just say, oh yeah, that's fine, and not say anything, that's also a problem.
I can't remember if this is the exact name of the term, but I remember being sort of taught about a sort of criticism sandwich, where you give them
I think I've heard of this.
If what they've presented is for the most part quite bad, what you do is you talk about a negative, follow it up with a positive, and then another negative, and you just keep doing that. Because you can't just always go, this is brilliant or this is shit, because that's not teaching them anything. You need to specify what worked and what didn't. And you also need to specify what you personally liked and what you personally didn't like. Because what you don't like could be entirely different to what somebody else doesn't like.
That's why you usually get a few people to help give
Exactly,
advice.
You pass it around.
Never just give it to one person, always give it to at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's a lot more. Some creative advice from the entertainment dome team. But yeah, they definitely... Peter Molyneux needs to be just basically reined in a bit, I think.
It does make me wonder, because I remember that apparently they released a video sort of... I don't know if I haven't watched it, but it basically said that Godas were still being worked on, but now most of their efforts were being put towards a completely different game.
Oh, that annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, The Trail or something it's called. I wonder if that's ever going to actually, be a thing. Is Molyneux still working on that? I don't know, because
probably, but I hope not.
It feels like people would actively avoid The Trail out of spite.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them either, because it's literally did you hear the Podquisition episode about this?
No.
Apparently, I don't think it was the last one, it was the one before that, but basically, people been asking for their money back because he said, oh yeah, we're moving on to The Trail and not Goddess, which is not what they paid for.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Which is, yeah, they're completely in the right, and it's also really wrong of Peter Molyneux and his team. But they have actually been told, we're not going to give you your money back, but what we will do is give you a tour of our studio. Yeah.
I don't know. On paper, that sounds like a good idea, but in practice, if you really think about it, is that really a justification?
Nope. Because think about it as well. That's okay-ish if you come from the UK. If you don't get any travel expenses or anything like that, you have to come here yourself.
Okay, then that's okay. Now I get. Yeah, that's terrible.
You don't get any travel expenses. You don't get hotel fees. You don't get airlines or anything like that. You literally are just said, "Oh yeah, you can come to our office and have a look." That's it.
No, that's a bollocks deal.
It is such a stupid deal.
That is such... I can't believe that. Yeah, we're sorry we took your money, but you can have a tour around our studio. Oh, that sounds really cool. So, what, will you, pay for travel expenses or something? No. But I live in Australia. Well, you just have to get it.
You have to come here yourself.
But I can't. I can't afford it. Well, I guess you can't get the tour then. Well, then can I get my money back? No.
No. They wouldn't say no. They just conveniently not answer.
it's such a bullshit move because they have they've effectively stolen money. That's what this is.
It's definitely a shitty position to be in, and it's definitely. I'm hoping that no more money comes to the Trail, because this is an utter betrayal from Peter Molyneux and his team to everyone that trusts him.
I want the when the Trail inevitably comes out, if it ever does come out, I want that to be like a headline for it. The Trail, more like betrayal. If nobody jumps on that, I shall be very disappointed.
The thing is, it's gonna get bad reviews and everything anyway. Like, because they have created so much bad will that people are going to be shitty against it.
Yeah, and people who are like at least follow the gaming industry, they'll know about this. There is a huge number of people out there that know about this shit, and even if they weren't actively involved, I mean, I never gave money to Godus. I didn't know Godus was a thing until a month ago, and even I know to avoid this shit.
I think the only Peter Molyneux games I ever got were long after they were released: Black and White and Black and White 2 and Dungeon Keeper 2. That's the only games I got.
When I was studying game design, I swear Black and White and Black and White 2 were the only things that ever came up when discussing Lionhead or Molyneux. It seems like those are the two good things to come out of it.
Fable... Oh, actually, no, another one as well. Populous.
Oh, and Populous.
Populous at the beginning. That was a great game. Although kind of nuts. And kind of very simple compared to most strategy games today. Also, incredibly just... It was just so bonkers. It was fun. But yeah, those are the big games that will inevitably come up whenever Peter Molyneux is talked about, because those were his games back when he was actually working on games properly and not just kind of shitting on them.
Yeah, because I think he's not exactly in a developer position. Like, he doesn't actually do the actual programming or anything. Because I always remember this story, because this is the very first thing
the head guy.
This is the thing that made me first heard about Peter Molyneux. This story was when I was told at university about the time, I think it was at E3 or at some games conference, where he was being interviewed about Fable. And he was talking about all this stuff that the game was going to have. Like, you could plant a tree and see it grow in real time or something. All this grand, like, you could have children that you could then play as if your character died. All this. And while all this is going on, all the designers, the programmers, everybody doing the technical stuff was back home watching this interview live and going, what the fuck is he talking about?
Oh god, get him off the stage, man. Get him off the stage.
We've only got like 3 months to get this game out. We've done none of this shit.
You know what is a great analogy for Peter Molyneux and his development team? His development team are Blackadder and the rest of the cast from Blackadder Goes Forth.
Oh, God.
And Peter Molyneux is Melchett. General Melchett.
It's sad that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. This bonkers guy who keeps sending them out, and they're like, oh, God, why? Why are you doing this? This isn't going to end well.
Molyneux's got a grand plan. Don't worry, Godus will be a success as long as we follow the grand plan. Would that be the plan, to just run out of everybody's Kickstarter money? Even you know it!
Oh, I need to rewatch Blackadder again now. But
yeah,
that is pretty much the analogy, and I'm going to stick with that. He is going to be Lord Melchett from the rest of his days.
I stick with my analogy that Molyneux is like an 8-year-old child with who's just had too much sugar. Like, you know when you're like 7 and your imagination's boundless, and when you're writing, you just write shit. Like there's no like actual construct. You just start writing, and it just gets out more and more outlandish as you go along.
That's kind of like Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, except I think Kojima's kind of different from Molyneux because
in a good way, I might add.
Because when as far as I don't recall Metal Gear Solid ever getting any kind of reaction such as this. I know. No. Kojima's kind of
except for one, for the latest Ground Zeroes.
Ground Zeroes, yeah.
It was an 1-hour demo.
Yeah, and then charged full price for.
Yeah.
To be fair, I feel more sorry for Kojima than Molyneux, because Kojima is so desperately trying to leave the franchise, but the fans won't let him.
And he is an auteur. Like, he is a massive auteur. I think Molyneux and Kojima both are auteurs, but I think I don't know I'd actually say Kojima's probably the more planned out. Like, he has it more thought out in his head than Molyneux, who just goes talking into it.
In some weird, fucked up way, Kojima's games are more thought out. And considering what you see in Metal Gear Solid...
You wouldn't think that. But he is more thought out than Molyneux. Molyneux does not think these things through. And he needs someone to keep bashing him in the back of the head. But sadly, it seems he's got someone like Captain Darling, who will just lick his boots all the time.
Or rather is like too afraid to actually bring it up in fear of being fired or something.
Probably. To sent back to the trenches for the final big push.
Yeah.
Blackadder. But yes, it's a shitty thing, and also we didn't even bring up the fact that it was meant to be changing someone's life, and that poor kid has had nothing.
Yes, because some guy won a competition to, like, be the god of gods in Godus, because it's like you can interact with other players' games, essentially. So there's like this massive world, and this guy won a competition to essentially be the god of gods, which would give him like free control over the entire game world for like a week or something. And they just stopped talking to him.
No, it was that, and also he gets, I think it was 2% of all game sales.
That's right. Yeah, he was going to earn like a small margin of the profits.
And you may think 2% is small. It's really not, because it would add up to a hell of a lot of money.
Especially when you take into account that some games that sell like billions of units. Mm-hmm. Like if I was offered 2% of the amount of money that like Halo 3 made or something, I'd be like, shit, I'll take that.
Sod Halo 3, give me 2% of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh yeah, that.
I would be set for life.
But yeah, this guy didn't get any of that, and they literally just stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
According to Molyneux, they did have a guy who was in charge of keeping contact with him, but then he left, and the job of staying in contact with the contest winner just kind of evaporated into nothingness.
And also, Godus has still been making money, and I don't know how. It's still been making money, but he has not been receiving his 2% cut because he is not in the game yet.
Well, isn't that because the Android version of the game was made, but the PC version, the version that the majority of people have probably been waiting to play,
is not finished.
Is very much trapped in limbo.
Mm-hmm. They keep saying, oh, it is going to be finished, but we're just going to be moving most of our staff to our new game. It's like, no. Stop it.
I don't even know why you would do that. Why would you say to people, all the money that you've given us to work on this game that you have paid for is now being put towards this other game that you didn't pay for, and the game that you did pay for is kind of just,
Mm-hmm. He's been taking lessons from Ubisoft and EA.
Unintentionally, probably, but
yeah, it's a shitty situation. And again, to our listeners at home, even if you're a massive fan of Molyneux, and I don't blame you because the guy did make great games a long time ago, but don't give him your money. Please don't. Don't give him any money.
This is it's very much enabling at this point.
Yeah.
Because what this is, again, it's the constant cycle that Jim Sterling mentioned. Here's this great game that I'm going to make. Game comes out. This game isn't that great. Oh, I'm really sorry, guys. I really tried, but I didn't mean to. Oh, it's okay, Molyneux. It's okay. Shh. It's okay, Molyneux. We forgive you. Second game comes out. Molyneux, this is the exact same crap that you pulled last time. What the hell happened? You promised. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I know I promised. I'll try again next time. Oh, it's okay, Molyneux. It's okay. Shh. It's okay, Molyneux. We didn't mean to yell. We're sorry. And it just goes on and on and on.
You finally need to go, okay, enough's enough. You need to learn.
I think
go to your room.
I think Jim Sterling said that he doesn't think that the shit that Molyneux keeps pulling is an act, but it very much feels like one. And I kind of have to agree with him. I don't think Molyneux is intentionally pulling this shit, but the fact that it keeps going on, it does make you
like it.
It does sort of make you think, Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on here?
There's a little bit of news to add on to this, and I think it might actually be linked. They didn't mention, but it feels like it's linked. There's a new game called Fable Legends, which
I've heard about that.
It was like a 4-man
co-op thing, right?
Co-op thing for Fable.
Yeah, wasn't that announced at this year, or last year's rather, Microsoft E3 conference?
Yes.
Or was it the one before that?
I think it was the last one.
Okay.
And guess what they've just revealed? it's going to be a free-to-play game. And I have a feeling that it was because of this.
Insert Sideshow Bob sound effect of him stepping on a rake.
A free-to-play game can work if it was made from the ground up of free-to-play and it's fair. However, whether that turns out is anybody's guess. The only really big news is that it's going to be free-to-play, which is a big... if this buggers up even more, this could be even worse news for Molyneux.
I know they exist, but I have not heard of a single free-to-play game that hasn't been absolute bullshit. Even Nintendo has succumbed to the temptation of free-to-play with Pokemon Shuffle.
Oh, that was shit. It was, let's be honest.
Oh my god, that was just such a blatant response. I was like,
but that was shit. Yeah. I'm trying to... Well, actually, no, there are some good free-to-play games. Like, Hearthstone's a really good one.
Yeah, I know they exist. That's what I'm saying, though. You never hear about the good ones.
Well, yeah, because the bad ones always give the good news.
Exactly.
They always give us plenty of material to talk about. But there are definitely some good free-to-play games. It's just... It's overshadowed by the terrible shit.
And it's probably very tricky to find them, since I don't do a lot of mobile gaming, but I imagine if you went onto like one of these like...
Oh, it's not just mobile gaming, there's also loads on PC.
Yeah, but in terms of like the app stores, there's just the same shit over and over again. You know, you get Angry Birds, Discontent Birds, slightly miffed off birds, and it just carries on, and you're like, which one of these is legit? I don't know anymore.
There's your problem, Michael. You're looking in the wrong place. You're looking at on Android and iPhone and all that crap. It's like, yeah, most of those are shit, except for Hearthstone that moved onto Android as well as PC.
And then
Funny enough, that's the only good one.
And then you get, what's this? Clash of Titans, Slash of Titans, Trash of Titans,
my God,
Dash of Titans. It's just, it never ends.
Clash of Clans. I do not understand how people like that game. I was like, okay, this is a strategy game on PC. Great, I'll give it a try, because I love strategy games. They're one of my favourite genres. I tried playing it, I was like, this is absolute fucking shit.
I think a friend of mine got Clash of Clans, and at first he was like, oh, this is actually really fun. And the more he played it, the more he eventually got fed up with it.
It's literally, it's brain dead strategy. It's basically just, oh, okay, I'll put 5 guys here, they'll go forward and do their own thing. It's like, you can't control them, you just go, send. It's like, this is shit.
Is it literally press A to win?
Pretty much. Except you'll probably lose. It's bollocks.
I don't know why, but I'm suddenly reminded of a scene in an episode of Gravity Falls where they go to the arcade, and cheapskate Grunkle Stan finds an arcade machine that says insert 5 cents. He puts 5 cents in, and the screen just says, you win! And Grunkle Stan's like, he's like so happy, and then it says insert 5 cents to play again, and he's like,
That's actually a very good analogy for most of the iPhone products. There's a lot of bad free-to-play games, but they're mostly on iPhones, and somehow they get ported onto Steam, because Steam is a cesspit at the moment.
I remember when Angry Birds got like ported to the 360 and PS3 and all stuff like that.
Oh my god!
And then they charged like £40 for it.
Yeah!
And it's like, I could play this shit for free on the iPad. Why are you charging me 40 quid for a version on the console? This makes no sense.
I have no sympathy for anyone who bought that game. If you buy it on console, it's like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? It's literally like, they're literally like, right, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Let's try and see if we can get a few people. It's like, if anyone falls for that, they are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's iPhone gaming in a nutshell, and Android gaming. I don't have time for either of them. I play games on PC or console.
Yeah,
it's actually fun.
I used to be big on Temple Run, but then when my iPod suddenly became out of date, apparently, because I bought
God!
No, because I bought like a few games for my iPod Touch, and Temple Run originally worked on it. Then one day I updated iTunes, and suddenly I couldn't put any of my iPod games onto my iPod. And I'm like, why? They worked fine before. No, your iPod's out of date. But Temple Run works on it like 5 days ago. I played it. No, it don't. No.
It's because Apple.
You got to buy a new iPod. No, I fucking don't.
I will not give you my money anymore, Apple.
Take your Temple Run and piss off.
Actually, I think the last game I ever got on my iPhone was actually the Phoenix Wright games.
Why did you get them on iPhone?
Because it was only cheap, and I was like, I want to actually play them all.
But you have them. Do you not have a DS?
I do, but this was... No. This was before the DS one came out. Like, this was a good, I think, 2 years ago.
What? No, I meant, why didn't you buy the old DS games?
Because they were like 30 quid, and this was 12 quid for all three.
Really?
Yeah, it was 12 quid for all three.
Well, you know what? It would be worth it. You should have paid 30 quid for all three.
No, it wasn't 30 quid for all three. It was 30 quid each for each game on the DS.
I still think you should have done that.
To be fair, though, the iPhone version's not terrible. It actually works.
It is literally Well, to be fair, Ace Attorney is a fantastic game. You are literally moving that to an iPod or an Android or whatever. Thing is, though, like, this is just me. The updated artwork that they use for it doesn't look all that great. I've mentioned this before in a previous episode, I think.
Yeah,
I feel like it loses something when it's no longer in sprites.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like it's in some sort of weird middle between the sprite work from the original games and the new 3D models that they used in Dual Destinies.
It doesn't gel as well.
Because I love the 3D models in Dual Destinies. I know some people are sort of like, oh, it's not sprites, it sucks. I'm sort of like, okay, but shut up.
They still look cartoonish and good.
I know, they were so expressive, I loved it.
As long as they still have the same strange shenanigans, which, they do, I'm fine with it.
Dual Destinies was amazing, and some translation issues aside, like there were quite a few spelling errors in that game.
Yeah.
Also the fact that it was a download-only title, that kind of miffed me off, but...
Oh, it's Capcom, what do you expect?
No use complaining about that. Aside from that, I'd say Dual Destinies is probably my favourite Ace Attorney. I know that's probably going to be controversial for some, because Trials and Tribulations was so amazing.
I was about to say, for me, I would agree it's definitely Dual Destinies is one of my favourites, but I think 3 still has a special place in my heart for that fucking ending.
I think maybe Trials and Tribulations, as a finale to a trilogy, is like way better than Dual Destinies. Because Dual Destinies is like some sort of weird in-between kind of thing, because it wasn't technically carrying on Apollo Justice. It was like, it's
the start of something new.
It was a weird pseudo reboot. So like,
sort of reboot, but not really, because it's still continuing. But
well, it's great because I feel like Dual Destinies, where it ended off, was in a very good place for it to carry on. Because now Phoenix is now back on his feet. He's a lawyer again, which is where he should be. He's got Apollo, Athena, Trucy. He's got his own team. He's head of a team. How cool is that? And he's still got in contact with Edgeworth, which is great and all, and he's still talking to Pearl, which is great. He's got a good circle here, and I like where he is, and I like to see it carry on from there.
Just bring back Maya and Gumshoe.
Bring back
Maya and Gumshoe.
You know that if they ever do bring back Maya in a future Ace Attorney game, the Ace Attorney fan base will just blow up.
Oh, they will.
They will spontaneously combust from
I want Gumshoe back as well, because it's like Edgeworth needs his Gumshoe.
It would be pretty cool to see Gumshoe back. I'm not going to lie. No, I want Franziska back. I want to see what she's been doing.
Yeah, same here.
I want Franziska to get her own game.
That would be interesting, actually.
Mostly because, with the Edgeworth game, we finally got to see what was in Edgeworth's head. And he also ended up being... Because Phoenix was always the butt monkey in his games. And, yeah, Edgeworth wasn't completely immune to that, but he was always like the sort of smug, oh, right, I'm so much superior to you. But then in his own game, he ended up getting the butt monkey status, which was great. And I'd kind of like to see that with Franziska. I want to see what goes on in her head, and for her to sort of end up getting into that sort of into that role where she's like the straight man to everybody else.
It would definitely be good, but
plus you could have like you could have a thing where during testimony you have the option to whip the witness.
Oh, that needs to be a thing. That definitely needs to be a thing. Just more Franziska, bring back Maya and Gumshoe, just give us more, please, Capcom.
Thing is that the next Ace Attorney is that prequel.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for it.
I'm still super hyped for it. I think it's going to be very good. And then it'll probably be after that. Or maybe it might lead into the next game.
Well, I think they said they want this to be the start of a new sub-series of the Ace Attorney franchise. So maybe they'll do their own trilogy with that one first.
Maybe.
Before if they ever do end up going back to Phoenix and Co.
I hope so. I hope they do go back. Don't get me wrong. I'd like both.
Yeah, same.
I'd love both. Like, work on both. Considering what else is Capcom working on at the moment, except from buggering up most of their franchises.
Resident Evil Revelations 2?
You mean Part 1 and 2? And 3 and 4 and 5?
Yeah,
because they made it an episodic game for some really explicable reason.
Well, I've heard that apparently Revelations, at least the first episode of Revelations 2, actually isn't all that bad.
I've heard mixed things, but yeah.
Because it feels like I've heard somebody say how they sort of managed to sort of doing what Resi 6 was doing, but still make it horror and not just blatant action monsters.
Just kill Resident Evil 6. It didn't happen.
Resi 6 was Resident Evil's like Michael Bay movie.
I think that's giving Michael Bay too much credit.
Wow, you hate it that much.
I hate Resident Evil 6 with a fiery passion. It is pure fucking garbage. Even Resi 5, and Resi 5 made me rage so hard. 6 was like, I am done. No more. I can't complete this piece of crap.
At least Resi 5 had Chris punching a boulder.
Yes.
And screams of, Chris Wesker!
And at least it had Sheva. At least Sheva was interesting. And they completely ignore her. Like, she doesn't exist in Resident Evil 6. Like, and I'm like, why didn't they mention her at all?
I remember, which game was it? Oh yeah, Code Veronica. I saw a playthrough of Code Veronica once, and it was hilarious, because Steve, I think his name is?
Yes, Steve.
Oh, he's such a douchebag!
Yeah.
Such a whiny shit. I don't even play Resident Evil, and I was like, oh my god, this character is the worst. Yeah. And I felt and the fact that then when he like turns to a monster and dies, and he's like, I love you, Claire, and Claire's like, no! I'm like, no, don't feel any sympathy.
It is like, their relationship is like the relationship in Beyond Two Souls.
Very much like, these characters love each other.
For no reason.
They just do. And we're not going to show it.
I wonder if David Cage actually took notice of that game.
I doubt it.
Probably not, but...
David Cage is stuck in his own little world where only his games exist.
Oh, you're completely correct on that one. But, speaking of episodic gaming, you talked about the Wolf Among Us.
Great segue, James.
Yes!
This is probably a bit late to be talking about it, considering the Wolf Among Us came out in, 2012, I want to say?
Later than that. I think it was 2013.
Well, yeah, a couple of years late, but yes, I finally got round to playing Telltale's The Wolf Among Us. I did write a whole article about it on my personal blog, and I'm probably going to annoy a lot of people when I say this. Wolf Among Us, better than The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I
was hoping you were going to say that.
Not that I didn't like The Walking Dead, but Wolf Among Us had a far more... Well, actually, no, because this is going to make... I don't want to sound like as if I'm right when I say this. I just found Wolf Among Us more interesting as a concept.
Yes.
Because as good as The Walking Dead was, I'm not a fan of zombie stories or post-apocalypse.
It's the same story again and again.
I don't like zombie stories, and I don't like post-apocalypse stories. That's just a personal thing. I know some people love that, but for me, that doesn't do it for me. Wolf Among Us... Like, just the very idea, all these different storybook characters living in Manhattan in some sort of weird noir setting is great. All they had to tell me was just like, you play as the big bad wolf who's human and is a detective. I'm like, I am all over that.
And then you got a swearing Mr. Toad.
That was great. As soon as I boosted up the game and I saw Mr. Toad, I was like, oh, I am going to love this game.
So much.
Well, Wolf Among Us I really enjoyed because I didn't know who was going to pop up. Like, I kept being really expecting, oh my god, who else is going to be in here? And then you go to Big B's apartment and you see one of the three little pigs crashing on his sofa. And I'm like, holy shit! It's one of the three little pigs!
It's so good. And they also go for less known fables as well.
Oh yeah, it actively encouraged me to look up some of the characters that are in it.
I absolutely love Georgie Porgy.
Oh my god, you should have been
You're
there.
right there, Big B.
You should have been there, because I saw the character and I was like, Georgie, who's? I'm trying to think. I'm like thinking, who's Georgie? So I looked him up on the because as you play through the game, you unlock like encyclopedia entries for all the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
I looked up and it said his full name was Georgie Porgy, and I was like, that name rings a bell. What's it from? And I looked up the original poem.
Georgie Porgy, pudding and pie.
Georgie Porgy, he kissed the girls and made them cry. And I was like, that makes so much sense because he's a pimp.
Yep.
It's perfect. It makes so much sense.
Just a fantastic northerner. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by the amount of there's a lot of cockneyness in that, which makes sense since a lot of the characters were from like English fairy tales.
I think he was from Yorkshire, that guy, but
maybe. That being said, I did look it up, and a lot of the voice actors in Wolf Among Us are also voiced of Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's not surprising. Most voice actors,
like Clementine's voice actress Melissa Hutcherson, she plays Beauty and Toad Jr.
Yeah, Kenny played the Mirror. I remember that.
Oh yeah, and he also voiced Beast,
and
which I thought was great because Beast pissed me off in episode 2, and I was like, oh god, why does this guy voice all the characters that are just being utter pricks?
And I think Beauty was played by Clementine's voice.
Clementine, yeah, I just said that, yeah.
That was just.
If you listen, the thing is though, it's kind of hard to tell with Beauty, but Toad Jr., who Clementine's VA also voices, you could tell that's her doing a Clementine voice. It's so obvious.
In an instant, it's just. Toad Jr. was adorable. Just like, oh.
He was alright.
I thought it was adorable.
I felt bad interviewing him.
Yeah.
Because he finds a dead body. By the way, spoilers for Wolf Among Us.
Oh, wait, there's going to be plenty of spoilers in this.
Yeah, he finds a dead body, and it's sort of like, I don't know how hard I need to be with him. I mean, I'm the big bad wolf.
I still think, actually, one of my favourite characters who creeped me out completely, fucking Bloody Mary.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, God, she was... The bits where she turns into a glass form and her movement sounds like walking on glass. It's like
glass.
Oh god,
that was clever. I will say when she showed up, and I was sort of like, who is this? Who's this lady? And then she says, what's that name the Mundies call me? Bloody Mary. That's right, Bloody Mary. And I went, oh shit!
Oh, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well at all.
That fight in episode 5, because I knew that Big B had a sort of wolf form, because he's the big bad wolf,
several.
and the thing is though, we don't see his wolf form until episode 3, where he and I thought that was it, and I was like, okay, so he sort of goes a bit werewolfy, okay, that's fine. Then you get to episode 5. And there's that bit where all the Bloody Mary clones jump on him, and you have to mash the button to get up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up. What's going to happen? And then this huge wolf appears, and I'm like, why am I surprised by this?
Holy shit, he's huge!
This huge-ass actual wolf. And I'm like, oh my god, it's the big bad wolf. And then he huffs and he puffs and he blows them all away, and it was so cool.
Such a good...
It was the hypest shit.
Such a good ending. And then we had... talking with the crooked man, who had such a good design. The crooked side features was really good design.
I remember when we sort of realised that it was the crooked man behind everything. I'm sort of I was really tense about meeting him because I was like, oh jeez, and then you see him, and I was sort of a bit disappointed because I was expecting it to be somebody we already knew, but no, it's it's literally a new character. Okay. I don't know why I'm surprised.
Also, I loved it that they made the Tweedles evil.
Yeah, they made him
Cockney evil.
Muscles for hire.
Alright,
I will
over
say,
here.
You first see one of them, and I'm sort of like, okay, who the... Again, I'm sort of repeating myself here, but that was one of the things I loved about The Wolf Among Us so much, is when we saw these characters, and I'm sitting there thinking, who's this meant to be? And then they're like, oh, this is Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and I'd be like, oh my god! I know those guys!
You guys are bastards now!
And it made me want to see, again, who else would appear in it. I remember you looking through a book with all the fables in... Well, not all the fables, but you're looking for a book with the fables in them. And you see a picture of Mr. Badger from Win the Willows. And I really wanted to see him, but he never showed up.
You had Huntsman appear, you had... Dusky Devil? Or was it the
The
Jersey Devil, that's it. Where did Dusky come from?
The actual Jersey Devil monster, at least in the game, such a good design.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh shit!"
It gives you the impression of, "Oh god, this is a guy who's been in the desert."
And the thing is, though, like he's this like skull with antlers, and he's got, and they distort his voice slightly, and it really suits him. But then when he disguises himself as a human, he's this balding, skivy ginger asshole, and it's like, really? You're the Jersey Devil, and this is the form you took.
No wonder no one trusts you.
Christ.
You also got Jack in there as well, which was hilarious.
I think what I find hilarious the most is the fact that apparently, from what I've heard, the Jack that appears in Fables and The Wolf Among Us is the same Jack through all of the different fairy tales. Like, he's the same Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk and from Jack and Jill, which I find hilarious. It's the same thing with Bigby, you know, he's the big bad wolf that ate Red Riding Hood's grandma, but he's also the same big bad wolf that blew down the three little pigs' houses. And I love the fact that one of the pigs still gives him shit for it.
Little Colin.
Yeah.
Either decide to give him the water or drink it in front of him.
Yeah. I will actually say, Bigby's definitely one of my favourite main characters that I've seen in the game. Mostly because I played him as somebody who was trying to make up for what he did. Like, he was genuinely trying to turn his life around. Like, I deliberately made a point to try and be as nice to everybody as possible.
Yeah, I definitely think Lee Everett and Bigby are definitely my favourite protagonists from...
Oh, definitely.
From Telltale, without question. Both of them are just amazing protagonists. For different reasons, and both are just amazing.
Well, they're both kick-ass. And Lee was able to do shit without superpowers.
Yes. But that was just Lee Everett was just awesome on his own. But yeah,
He
both
was, yeah.
both protagonists are amazing, and it's just I definitely agree with you that I found Wolf Among Us more interesting because as much as I do think Walking Dead was amazing, it was also just it was at the end of the day another zombie game, a very good zombie game, but a zombie game again.
I wouldn't classify The Walking Dead as just another zombie game, but if you're not a zombie fan, you're probably not going to like. Then again, I'm not a zombie fan, and I love The Walking Dead, so...
I can take or leave them, depending on the game.
Well, I can take the Telltale Walking Dead games. I can leave the other Walking Dead games.
Because the other Walking Dead
Survival Instinct.
That sucked. That just sucked. It's such a bad game, and just obviously trying to get money. Well, Walking Dead was a labour of love, and you could tell. Even though it's... all of the Telltale games still have the annoying bugs that keep propping up in their games.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I'm kind of worried about, and this kind of showed during the release of Wolf Among Us. I think they're taking on a few too many projects.
Yeah, because now they've got Game of Thrones, Tales to Borderlands,
Minecraft
game.
A new one.
A
new one as well.
A new one that they haven't announced yet. They are working on Walking Dead Season 3 and Wolf Among Us Season 2.
Season 2, they are going to do, but they're leaving it. I think it's going to come after Walking Dead Season 3.
That annoys me so much.
Yeah, it's especially annoying because when they were releasing Wolf Among Us, I got it on the day, not the day of release, but a few days after, because I saw it, I was like, oh, this looks really good, I'm going to try this. Bought the whole season, played the first episode, I was like, right, I can't wait for the next one. And I think it was literally like 5-6 months or more.
Yeah, there were massive gaps in between the episodes.
And it's because they were working on Season 2 of Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and everything. It's like, Tale of the Borderlands as well. And it's like, but come on, we want to get this game. And just, it was annoying that it felt like they put Wolf Among Us on the back burner a bit.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that, and I wouldn't be surprised that is what happened because Walking Dead is far more popular.
Oh yeah,
it's far more well known, so they would put more effort into that.
Wolf Among Us nearly would have been just as well known because here's a little bit of trivia. Fables, which is what Wolf Among Us is based on, was actually meant to be turned into a television series.
Was it?
It was. Here's where it gets interesting. The television series that was meant to be Fables is actually on television at the moment.
Is it Grimm?
Nope. It got changed heavily, but it is actually Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, that was going to be my second guess.
Once Upon a Time was meant to be Fables, and they changed it completely.
Well, you know what? I I want to watch Once Upon a Time.
I've heard decent things.
Because of the concept.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, I've got no means to watch it. Like, it's not on Netflix at the moment, so I'm like, shit.
I've seen a couple of episodes, and they're not bad, but I wasn't gripped, and I still think Wolf Among Us and Fables were just more interesting.
If there was an actual Fables TV show, I would watch the
Same
shit
here.
out of that.
So much.
I don't. Then again, it's also slightly worrying because you know how easy it is to fuck this kind of thing up.
Yeah.
Like, they'd have to get the right actor to play Bigby.
Right actress for Snow White.
They'd have to get a good SFX budget because, you know, some of the especially when the fight scenes, the stuff that goes on in that.
Oh god, I love it. They can get brutal, and it's like, yeah, they can take a lot of punishment. They can still die, but they can take a head to punishment.
I love the fight scenes in The Wolf Among Us because they do just get so over the top.
Mm-hmm. Just the first fight scene between Bigby and the woodsman.
Yeah, that was fun.
Just throwing each other out the window, and then him getting an axe buried in his skull, and he's still alive.
And I saw there was again axe to the back of the skull, and I was like, oh shit! And then they act really casual about it. I'm like, are we not going to talk about how she just murdered the man? And then it's like, oh, he's still alive. Oh, okay then.
Moving on. It is definitely one of those. It's just like, oh, this is just so good, and it's a shame that Once Upon a Time changed it and just basically made its own thing, but that might have been also for the best for it. I don't know. I only watched a few bits of it, and it wasn't bad, but just Wolf Among Us was better, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And just the relationship between Bigby and Snow White. Also, another character I really loved, the flying monkey.
Oh, Bumpkin.
Just him getting drunk all the time. It's just... I love that so much.
When he showed up, I had the exact same reaction to every other character. I was like, oh my god! It's a flying monkey from Oz! This is so cool!
I was actually wondering, oh my god, is the Wicked Witch of the West going to be in this?
Maybe she's one of the witches on the 13th floor.
Might be.
You know, one of the ones who makes the glamours and stuff.
Might be.
Because that's what's so great about this concept. Because they don't just limit it to fairy tale characters. All these, like, Tiny Tim appears at one point. And that blew my mind!
It's like, oh my god, it's you!
It was great. And they've got this entire wealth of characters to pick from and to show. And they could do so much of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's characters that we don't even see in The Wolf Among Us that get mentioned. We know Cinderella is somewhere in this universe. Yep. We've got Snow White's sister, I think. Is it a sister or a cousin?
A sister.
Rose
Red's her sister.
Red's sister, right.
Cinderella, I won't spoil it for you, Michael, but she's in the comics, and by God, she's awesome.
I know isn't she like a... I think I have.
She's a secret agent, essentially.
Yeah, she's a secret agent. That's cool.
So cool. It's like, oh my god, this is awesome.
That does sound super cool.
It is. It's such a great world, and just the world building of Fables is so amazing and so well done. It's just, oh god.
I also love the fact that massive spoiler for Wolf Among Us, at least. I also remember how, like, you know, the way episode 2 ends, I'm expected to be surprised that Ichabod Crane was this skeevy pervert.
Oh god.
Like, it got there, and it's like, oh my god, Crane's been, like, lusting over Snow White, and I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, I was not surprised in the slightest.
No, I wasn't surprised, but I was like, it was a nice twist, like, oh my god, is he the killer? And it's like, oh no, he's not.
It was no way he was going to be the killer.
It's Ichabod Crane, he's too much of a coward.
He's
a sleazeball.
The moment you see him, you know what kind of character he is.
the sleazy boss.
That said, though, I did like... There's a line he has when you catch him in episode 3. One of the possible lines that he says is like... You know, when he just, like, says to Snow White, I love you, Snow White. I've always... When he says that. And then the great line he has after that is where he just says, like, I know I'm not Prince Charming. I'm sorry I'm not Prince Charming. I'm sorry I didn't cheat on you and run off to Europe. And it's like, oh!
That was such a harsh line.
Such passive aggressiveness.
I also loved that David Fennoy came back to play Bluebeard in Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, David Fennoy being Lee from Walking Dead. That said, when I first heard his voice, I thought it was Clancy Brown. it sounded so much like him. Then I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, no, it's Lee.
It is a similar voice, like when Clancy Brown goes into like his more deeper sounding voice, more Kurgan-esque.
Yeah, exactly. He sounded like Lex Luthor to me, so that's what I thought.
I could definitely see the connection. I could listen to Dave Fennoy all fucking evening. That voice is amazing.
Yeah.
Him and Keith David.
Yeah.
Keith David as Keith David. I think one of my major reasons to buy Saints Row 4 was just to say, I just want to listen to Keith David in this game.
Yeah, because Keith David plays himself in that game, I think.
Yes. I think the people behind Saints Row 4 love Keith David as much as everyone else does.
I will admit, I was very nearly tempted to get Saints Row 4. I didn't get it in the end, but the opening alone made me want to give it a try.
Oh my god, the opening. Just
climbing a missile whilst Aerosmith is playing. And then you become president because you landed in the White House.
And just one of my favourite bits when you're just walking down and either solve world hunger or kick cancer.
Or kill cancer.
And then when you go further along, this guy goes, I'm your number one fan! And gets kicked. Just, so Saints Row 4 is fun.
I also love the fact that there's not just a male Saints character and a female Saints. There's different kinds of male and female Saints.
Yep. Very, very highly customizable.
That's great.
It's definitely a good
Actually, because Laura Bailey, I think, voices one of the female Saints.
I think so. I always play as the English Saint. The very Oi, Kenzie. Just
who's he voiced by?
I actually don't know. I need to find this out, but just the bad English Oi, Kenzie, wanna fuck? Taking the piss out of the Mass Effect romance. It's just this is so good.
No, I mentioned Laura Bailey because I remember finding a vid somewhere where somebody took all of Laura Bailey's Saints Row quotes and put them over footage of Lucina from Fire Emblem Awakening, which is just hilarious.
Oh, that's perfect.
Speaking of Mass Effect, actually, just out of curiosity, James, would you recommend playing as male Commander Shepard or female Commander Shepard?
It's up to you, but honestly, as much as I do think Mark Meer is a good voice actor, Jennifer Hale just blows it out of the water.
Yeah, because obviously I want to start Mass Effect at some point, and normally whenever I'm given the option to play as a male or female protagonist, I always go for male because, well, I'm a male. Mm-hmm. But for Mass Effect, for some reason, I really want to give a female character a shot for a change.
Yeah.
Mostly because I've heard that Jennifer Hale's really good.
She is a really good voice actress. She just owns it. That's not to say anything bad against Martin Meer, by the way.
I love Jennifer Hale because she voices Commander Shepard in Mass Effect. She didn't quite voice Samus in Metroid Prime, but she provided the grunts and the vocal effects and stuff like that. Voiced these two badass women space fighters, and she's also the official voice for Disney Cinderella. Mm-hmm. One of the most least actiony female characters you will ever meet.
She is everywhere, and I love her for it. I'd honestly say if when playing Mass Effect, play as Jennifer Hale. Female Shepard. It's definitely worth it. Are you going to get the trilogy?
I've got the trilogy.
You got the trilogy.
It's sitting right there. I had to get the American version because I can't find a European copy anywhere.
that should work.
It works on the PS3. Problem is, though, I need to get an American account to download all the DLC. Including the quote-unquote fixed Mass Effect 3 ending.
Fucking hell. I actually, I think it was a few months ago, I actually replayed all 3 games.
Jesus.
Yeah, because I was like, I feel like replaying all of Mass Effect. So I replayed all 3 of the Mass Effect games, including, not all of the DLC, but the main, what I like to call the essential DLC you should have for Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect 1, great. Problems somewhat with the combat, but the storyline's great, and the relationship here from Meg is great. Mass Effect 2, still think it's absolutely the best one, and actually one of my favourite games of all time. The ending is perfect. The ending mission and everything is just one of the best missions in gaming you'll ever do. The DLC is also great, especially the Liara one. Even though the Liara one, you only really get it. the best out of if you're in a relationship with Liara, but it's still a good DLC. And then I played Mass Effect 3, and I'm like, it's good, but I can definitely see that it doesn't hold up to repeated game throughs, and also the cracks are already beginning to show compared to Mass Effect 2. And also, if you play it straight after Mass Effect 2, it makes the ending even worse. It really does. Even with the fixed ending, quotation marks, don't get me wrong, Mass Effect 3 still has a lot of good stuff about it, and still has some really awesome moments, like, oh my god, this is so great, but it's not the one you'll be playing all the time. It would probably be Mass Effect 2.
You know what? When I eventually get around to playing Mass Effect 3, I hope to God that I get to that ending, I finish it, and my reaction is, that was great, I don't know what everyone was talking about. I want to be that one asshole who actually likes the Mass Effect 3 ending.
Oh, there are some, and I don't know, you might have that, but...
I don't know why. I sometimes have moments where I just like to be really hipster.
I liked this ending before, it was cool, but... No, it's really bad, the endings, but it's just the endings are just like, oh, these are really arbitrary compared to all the other reasons.
Well, it can't be any worse than the Order's ending. Oh, snap!
You mean the movie?
Yeah, the Order 1866, aka 80% movie, 20% game.
Did you see the walkthrough?
Do you mean the strategy guides that they released for it?
Yes.
I saw. It's quite bad. Okay, at this point you press triangle. Then at this point you walk forward a few centimeters. Then at this point you press square.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not how you do a walkthrough. Even Final Fantasy 13 had a better walkthrough than this, and that was a bloody corridor.
They didn't have much to work with the Order 1866, because I think it was Jim Sterling that described it as... Oh wait, no, not Jim Sterling, but it was like a different review that said that the gameplay felt more... The way it handled the gameplay felt like it was intruding. And it wasn't like you... It didn't feel like you were playing the Order 1866. It's like you'd lumbered in and were sort of getting in its way.
Yeah.
Because it was so wrapped up in its own bloody story.
Also, its story didn't get interesting till the last half hour, and it was basically like, buy our sequel.
Yeah, the story didn't get interesting until it ended.
I literally, when games do that, I literally think, are you actually trying to kill your IP? Because that is the way to kill it.
I have just an underlying hatred for cliffhangers now.
I don't mind cliffhangers if they do it right, but it's not even that. It's just literally like, this is also, I don't mind cliffhangers when it's like for games that have like already had games before it. When it's a whole new IP, not a good idea.
Exactly, because to me, making a cliffhanger for your very first game for a new IP comes off as really obnoxious.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna buy the sequel. No, we won't.
It's like, oh yeah, our game's gonna make enough money to warrant a sequel. It's like, you don't know that. And
you don't know that.
And my other problem is that if you don't make enough money and your IP dies, you have officially pissed off the fans that you did have. The example I always go to for this is a game you've probably never heard of, James. Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure. It's for the 3DS. It's a rhythm action game. I think it was Sega that published it. I don't think they developed it. But to be fair, its story was bollocks. Its story was some of the stupidest bullshit I had ever heard. But the thing is, though, I still enjoyed it as a game. But then it got to the end, and it ended on a bloody cliffhanger. And I'm like, why would you do that? And I'll tell you what, I have not heard anything about a sequel.
Yep.
It was...
Hint, hint, Order.
The whole game was about the main character looking for his dad. End of the game, still hadn't found his dad. And also, again, just prepare yourself, James. It's going to get really stupid, because the main antagonist for the game is a resurrected Napoleon Bonaparte.
Oh, God.
Yeah, who wants to sort of unearth this ancient Babylonian superweapon.
Oh,
and
God.
He gets it. You fight, and he's sort of like, but this isn't the end, and he falls off, and he looks like he's died. and it's like, okay, Napoleon's dead, and you stop the weapon, it's like, yay, we saved the day. But then it turns out that guy was pretending to be Napoleon Bonaparte.
Oh.
The resurrected Napoleon Bonaparte is somewhere else.
Oh, God.
And it's like, what? This is fucking Ansem from Kingdom Hearts all over again.
No! We have another Organization 13 in the rhythm game. Oh, God, that's terrible. That's really bad. And that's how the Order's going to end up.
Yeah, because I don't know how much money it's made. Apparently, last I checked, it was number 1 in the UK charts.
Yeah, it's done well, but
it's not doing that bad. So it probably
it's
will
being
get a sequel at some
reviewed
point.
badly. Like, people are
yeah.
shitting on it, and the developers are acting really crybaby about it.
Yeah, I did see that. It's sort of like, oh, why are people buying our game and then complaining about it? It's like we worked hard on this, and it's like, yes, but that doesn't mean that we can't. Doesn't mean we can't talk about what was bad about it.
They're acting like bratty children. It's like, guys, shut up. Really? Even Ubisoft know when to stop talking eventually.
You know how there are always like fanboys that defend their the games that they worship. It's like, don't talk bad about that game I really like. It's great. It's my life.
That's the makers of the Order.
Yeah, the fanboys have now become the developers. They don't need people to defend their shitty product because they're already doing it
and being twice as obnoxious. Oh, God, don't do that. Just don't do that. But back on Mass Effect, apparently we're going to have Mass Effect 4's coming soon. TM, we're getting some more news apparently within the year. Okay. And also, there's something you're going to absolutely hate in Mass Effect 1. And they're bringing it back for Mass Effect 4, and apparently they said, oh no, we've worked on it, it's going to be fine. Have you heard of a vehicle called the Mako?
No.
In Mass Effect 1, you have to drive this thing, and it is literally the most cumbersome hulk of a thing you will ever drive. It's not very good. They wanted to have a vehicle section in the game, and it's... You need to drive it, and you also need it...
Okay.
Also, when you're on other planets, you have to use the Mako to go around on certain sections. And it's
like, is it like one of those sort of game checklists that apparently every game needs to have? Okay, we need at least one vehicle section.
Kinda, yeah.
We need one escort mission. Check. One sewer level. Check.
Yep, you sadly do have to use the Mako.
One mini game that ironically becomes more entertaining than the actual game itself. Check.
Oh, God, that... Oh, mini games are over.
Cough, triple triad, cough.
Perfect. But, yeah, they had that, and then they had another vehicle section in Mass Effect 2, which was optional as part of the DLC, and it was the complete opposite. It flew really well and was really, really good to move. There was only one problem. 3 hits, and it basically exploded. Ugh. So it was... The Mako could take a hit, it basically was like a tank. But it moved horribly. While I think it was like the Hammerhead, funny enough, not a Hammerhead, could move really fast and really maneuverable, but it was like paper mache. And apparently in Mass Effect 4, they're going to try and change that. Okay. There is one thing I really want from them, though, and I'm hoping that the success of Dragon Age Inquisition makes them do this. Please, can we play as other races and not just human? Please? Because they have such a massive universe and have so many different races that to play as just a human again, I think will feel very, very boring.
Well, James, don't forget, in every sci-fi universe, the majority of aliens that exist in those sci-fi universes just happen to resemble humans.
I know.
Doctor Who? Humans. Star Trek?
Humans.
Star Wars? Humans.
At least Star Wars has a few that don't look as human. But, yeah, I agree with that. Mass Effect has more humanoids, but still, there's players some. And here's the thing, they also don't have an excuse, because they have the models from Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. So that you can play as an Asari, as a Drell, as a Krogan. I want to play as a bloody Krogan, not as a human.
It will be pretty cool.
But whether we...
I know slightly off topic and a completely different game, but Dragon Ball Xenoverse that came out, like gave you different like customization.
You could play as a Margin.
Yeah, you could play as a Margin. You could play as human. You could play as one. You could play as part of the Frieza race,
which just felt hilarious. I've heard decent things about it. I want to get it because that game actually made me think this actually looks really good and actually might make me actually like Dragon Ball Z again. And also,
I'm sure
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I'm sure Xenoverse would be fun for a Dragon Ball Z fan. I watched like part of it on YouTube, and to me, it's essentially every Dragon Ball Z self-insert fanfic.
Yeah.
Oh my god, time is being messed up, and like all this stuff's happening. Now we need you, yes, you, to go back and team up with Goku and Piccolo and all that to fight again. And the thing is, though, it seems like every Dragon Ball game that has ever been made has always had the exact same story mode, which is the story of the anime. Yeah. It's the same every time.
So this one's actually a little bit of a breath of fresh air because it actually adds
not really
something tiny.
Really.
Sadly,
not really, because all that's happening is that all the baddies are suddenly like, "Oh, we're slightly stronger now." "Oh no," says Goku, "I can't beat them." That's exactly what's happening.
There is one other reason I want to get it, and it's going to be hilarious. Is have you heard who's doing voice acting in that game?
Yep.
Takahata 101, aka Takahata from Team 4 Star.
Hey Vegeta.
Hey Vegeta. Hey Vegeta. Vegeta.
Vegeta. I'm in Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
God damn it, Nappa. Terrible Vegeta impression, but you get what I mean.
I'm pretty sure that the moment that people found out, every custom character
is going to be Takahata.
Is going to have Nappa's voice.
Oh, they've already been doing stuff from Team 4 Star, having Takahata as the voice, albino Namekians.
Really?
Yeah, people being like Takahata had it on his Twitter page saying there's already loads of albino Namekians running around.
But how can they be? They were purged.
Aha!
Then again, it is a time travel story.
They come from different time periods. Oh god.
Actually, that's another thing, and it's like, again, it's further proof of why I'm not fond of Dragon Ball. In the game story mode, somebody is pretty much like messing with the timeline and causing like all these past battles to go differently, like Raditz like beating Goku and Piccolo and stuff like that. And so Trunks, who's like part of the time police, I guess, has gathered the Dragon Balls. What does he wish for? I wish somebody to come along and help me. Not, I wish whoever's doing this would stop. Or I wish time would not stop being fucked with. Nope. I wish somebody will come along and sort out the situation out themselves.
But then, Michael, we don't have a video game.
Yeah, well, that's your don't have items that can grant any wish you want.
Or have...
It's the same problem that Dragon Ball had. Yeah. Oh no, Goku's dead. And the Saiyans are coming. Let's gather the Dragon Balls. What should we do? Let's wish Goku back. You don't want to wish for like a giant rock to kill the Saiyans that are coming or something?
Heavy rules.
Nope.
Have heavy rules on them. Like, they can't be... Like, hell, the genie from Aladdin had this. He said he can't make people fall in love. He can't kill people.
And he can't raise the dead.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty sight.
I don't want to do it.
Sorry, I rewatched Aladdin recently, so I've got all the quotes stuck in my head.
I love that movie. But yeah, they need... It's hell. Or even if it's like, okay, they can bring him back. Okay, have heavy implications on that. Game of Thrones does it. Minor spoilers for one of the seasons. There's a character who keeps getting resurrected, but there's no. Here's the thing. Hear me out.
Sorry.
He keeps getting resurrected, but what happens is that he keeps keeping the wounds that he received when he died. So he got like stabbed in the eye. His eye's gone. He's like slashed down the middle. He's like just barely holding himself together and everything, and it's like really horrifying. And also he's starting to lose his memory because every time he keeps getting reincarnated, he starts losing pieces of his memory in his past.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
So it's like George R. R. Martin basically went, right, I want to have resurrection, but I want to make sure that there's heavy implications for it. Okay, basically that it's not a good idea. Also, you can't bring back people if they had their heads cut off.
Okay, then.
So, see, that's what George R. R. Martin did right.
I've always liked the idea of having a character that sort of like either can't die or who keeps coming back, but their existence is one of the most miserable you could ever imagine.
That is the character from Game of Thrones. Like, it's so miserable.
Have you ever watched Gurren Lagann, James?
Yes.
Right, Viral.
Yes.
Hey, Viral, I just made you immortal. Have fun living forever while watching everyone you know die.
Well, even Doctor Who kind of goes into that territory. Sometimes, when Moffat isn't shitting on it.
Have you heard about the fact that the very first 2 episodes of Doctor Who for the new season is a 2-parter, and that the Mistress is coming back?
What?
Yeah, this is what I had to say to that. Well done, Moffat. You could have made that a proper super twist, and you've just come out and said, oh yeah, she's coming back. In the first 2 episodes!
Why is Moffat still a thing? Why isn't Moffat gone?
I saw her get eviscerated.
Can she just please go? Not she. Can Moffat just please go? Please, can Moffat just go? Keep everything else and just get rid of Moffat.
It's such a bizarre decision, because I'm not against the idea of bringing her back, but bringing her back so soon...
After her supposed death.
And not only so soon, but pretty much you're not even like, that could have been such a great twist.
Yeah, what the twist?
If I'd watched the episode and just saw her come back, I'd be like, oh shit! I'd still be like, why are you bringing her back so soon? But I wouldn't have been expecting it. Unless maybe it's like a flashback kind of thing. I don't know. They haven't probably
This is
specified
Moffat. He won't do it like that. But like, no, she came back through the power of...
time.
Yeah. Time solves everything.
That's one of the things I've sort of begun to go off on Doctor Who, is the fact that it time travels so much, and yet it's never consistent with it.
And
it's like
no, it's not just that. It's Moffat's writing is so fucking inconsistent.
That too. Have you ever watched any... Are you familiar with a YouTube channel called How It Should Have Ended?
Yes, I've seen quite a few of those.
Right, they did like a video... They do this like recurring videos where it's like Superman and Batman hanging out in a cafe.
Yeah.
And one time, Matt Smith's doctor joins them, and like Superman just says to him, "Okay, so if you could time travel, where were you when Krypton blew up?" And Doctor's like, "Oh yes, sorry about that. But can't you just go back in time?" No, I can't. Fixed time point. I can't do anything." And that sums it up basically.
Fixed time.
Exactly. What constitutes fixed time? It's like they choose whenever they feel like it.
At least and Russell T Davies didn't bring it up. He just it's fixed time and just left it there. Moffat keeps bringing it up and it's like, oh look, it's this. It's like, Moffat, you're just showing the cracks in the glass there.
And it bothers me because at one point it's like, no, we can't do anything. This is fixed time. We can't do anything about it. And then they'll go change something else. And I'm like, why is that point not fixed? Why is that not a fixed time point? Why is that malleable? And it's always the super important shit that can't be changed.
Yep. Oh, how convenient.
It's like, oh no, I dropped my ice cream. Well, don't worry, we can go back in time and solve that. Oh no, an entire race just got genocided. Sorry.
Genocided.
Fixed time point, can't do anything.
He's just been genocided.
I could have saved the day with a bat screwdriver. What would I do with a bat screwdriver? You could have saved Amy and Rory!
Oh god, that pissed me off. Just, I will be happy when Moffat just goes.
If he ever does.
I hope he goes soon. I hope he does, because I am fucking sick and tired of him, and just his shitty fucking writing.
Yeah. I
know I'm sounding incredibly harsh, but it's like,
it gets bad, guys.
It really does.
Dinosaurs on a spaceship. I go back to that episode every time I want to bring up like a example. And you have
David Bradley
Doctor
in it. It's like, how the hell do you misuse David Bradley? It's like David Bradley's awesome and you use him in the most shittest role possible. Game of Thrones got that completely right. It's like, yeah, we have David Bradley as a fucking weasel.
Who was he in Doctor Who?
He was the pirate guy. The one that shoots the Triceratops.
Oh. Wait, you mean Finch from Harry Potter?
Yeah, Filch.
Oh, Filch. Yeah, sorry, Filch. Yeah, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship is terrible.
He's David Bradley, and he's awesome.
Yeah, that was a terrible episode. What else? Oh, yeah, the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. That pissed me off to no end.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Christ.
Just most of Moffat's repertoire is so fucking shit.
The Angels Take Manhattan. That was a terrible one.
We could be here all day, guys.
Come to think of it, the Christmas special that they did this year wasn't all that great either.
It had a great beginning and interesting twist, and then it just had a really shit climax, like most of Moffat's crap.
Nick Frost as Santa was fantastic.
Yes.
I loved him.
He was great. I wanted more of him, and it's like, oh, he's just a figment of the imagination. It's like, oh, fuck.
Well, I was fine with that, because like, his acting was still great.
Nick Frost saved that episode, because if he wasn't in it, that episode would just be shit.
Yeah.
Also, what I really hated is, they saved the 3 women, and then the guy gets...
one
guy dies, and they just completely ignore it. It's like, that dude just died, and you're just going to completely ignore it. He's also...
Oh my god, James, you're so sexist.
Oh, I know, I'm so sexist. I'm so sorry. Not sorry. TM. GG forever, guys. Meh.
But,
I'm joking, of course.
Yeah, that episode wasn't great.
Yeah, it's just... Interesting idea. Also, the bit where he goes back and she's really old. That I actually thought was like, oh god, this is actually kind of moving.
I was sort of like, wow, what's going on? And then, oh no, that's a dream as well.
Yeah, that was that was such a cop out.
You can feel the rewrite. You can feel it.
That was such a cop out.
Because again, Jenna Coleman decided, oh wait, no, I don't want to leave yet. So it's like, oh shit, rewrite. You
could feel the cop out. It's like, you, just
you
bastard. Just screw everything. Just screw everything about.
Again, I want to clarify. Got nothing against Jenna Coleman.
Oh no! This is not against Jenna Coleman.
Fine.
She's amazing. Just I have everything against Moffat.
Thing is, though, I feel like this was the perfect opportunity to get in a new sidekick character, because if you look at the previous season, they were building up to her leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And now
the
it's
argument
all like,
with the Doctor and everything, it was.
I know, it was so great. Oh.
And then that ending happened.
And then it's all like, oh, forget about it.
Just
kind of makes it all feel like a bit pointless when you think about it.
Cracked ran an article recently, and they actually said that maybe it's time for Doctor Who to stop for a while, like take a few years hiatus. And I'm like, I am not against this. Actually, I think it needs a break.
I don't know if a break would fix it.
It might help a little bit.
Just get some good writers in.
That's what I mean. Hiatus for a while, so then when they come back, it's a little bit more fresher. And get rid of Moffat. Kick him out and just get some better writers. And get back Russell T Davies. I know it never happened, but just please bring him back. I know it will never happen, and I know he won't come back, but it's like, I just want Russell T Davies back.
I remember thinking for a while, like, actually, yeah, Russell T Davies wasn't all that great, and now I'm sort of like, actually, you know what?
He was better than Moffat.
He could certainly do story arcs better.
Much better. It's like, Russell T Davies was better at writing full story arcs. Moffat is better at writing one-offs.
Yeah, because don't forget, he wrote Blink.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
One of the best episodes of that season.
He wrote Blink, Dr. Dances, and The Empty Child.
He wrote Empty Child?
Yeah, he wrote Empty Child and the Dr. Dances.
Christ, what happened?
I don't know!
Empty Child was so good!
I know! That's what I mean! It's just Moffat has gone so far downhill.
That fucking gas mask zombie.
That was...
never ceases to creep me out.
Are you my mummy?
Look, I was 11. I think I was 11 when that episode came out. And the minute that episode ended, my sister spent the next hour following me around the house saying that. It was not funny.
Oh.
Ugh.
It was a creepy episode. And
it was.
Credit, and it's just like, where the hell did that go, Moffat?
Not only that, it was so disturbing, so freaky. And then, at the end... nobody died. Mm-hmm. For once, everybody lives.
Such a great storyline, and just so great. And also it introduced Jack Harkness. And just
remember how good Eccleston was as the Doctor?
Oh my god, yes. He was good.
And then he didn't come back for the 50th.
Yeah.
I was so sad.
He did say, I think it's because he didn't have a good time in Doctor Who, like he didn't enjoy it. And
yeah, I know he said he didn't like enjoy it all that much, and like he only stayed around for like one season.
I'll give him fair credit. At least he actually was honest. Like he didn't just like come back for the sake of it. He said, "Look, I wasn't happy with it."
You know, for somebody who says that who might not have enjoyed his time in working on Doctor Who,
he did so well.
Because normally you can tell when an actor's not enjoying what they're doing
because
by
they
their
half-ass
performance. Exactly, but Jesus Christ, he was so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people say he's their favourite Doctor,
and I don't blame
a guy
them.
who only did 13 episodes.
Well, some people still
That
like Paul
says a-
McGann. He only did one movie, one flashback episode, and mostly audio tapes.
Yeah, to be fair, he's also got the audio stuff as well.
I think Paul McGann's actually catching up on Tom Baker in that respect, because he's actually doing just as much in terms of audio episodes that Tom Baker did in episodes.
I think that's one of the things one of the things I love about Doctor Who so much is the fact that every actor who has ever played him has always been good.
Mm-hmm.
There has never been a bad Doctor.
No.
People prefer some more than to others. You know, you'll have people who say that David Tennant's their favourite. People who say William Hartnell is their favourite. People who say Tom Baker's their favourite.
Even if I don't like how they're written, or if they're just plain badly written, like Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor, they still always give it their all, and they're good performances.
I felt so bad for Colin Baker because during his run he got screwed over so badly.
I freely admit I did not like his Doctor. I thought it was really harsh and just really fucking bullying. But at the same time, he did get shafted so much.
What's great though is the fact that again he has the audio stuff.
Yeah,
that sort of helps. And plus, you know, he came back for that Five-ish Doctors reboot special they did to tie in with the 50th.
Yeah,
and that was great.
That was good.
Five-ish Doctors reboot was so brilliant because it was essentially everybody involved in Doctor Who taking the piss out of themselves.
It was such a great, like, little jokey episode. It's like, I could dig this. I can have more of this.
Yeah,
but yeah, just or even like I wouldn't say badly written, but just wasn't great. Was the jump between David Tennant and Matt Smith wasn't big. I still say Matt Smith was good, but he was still.
I still say Matt Smith was good.
He was good, but it was still, you could tell the similarities between him and David Tennant. It was more recognisable than, say, Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, who were completely different.
My problems with Matt Smith's Doctor was how he was written.
Yes.
Because Matt Smith's acting was not a problem.
No. That's what I mean. The acting wasn't the problem. It's just he was very similar to David Tennant's Doctor, which
I never had that problem. My problem was the fact that he got stuck with just such garbage episodes,
which is what sadly happened to.
And it was also the fact that you could tell they were writing him to be like, because Matt Smith's run was one of the most child pandering bullshit. You compare that to Capaldi, you know.
Yeah.
He is not like, you know, child friendly.
And I'm glad for that.
I'm glad too, because I've mentioned this before, but I love how harsh Capaldi's Doctor is.
Here's the thing, though. He is acting so not child friendly, which I love. But the problem is the writing is the other way round.
Yeah,
and that's the big problem, and that's what's really showing now is that the writing's trying to be child friendly, and Capaldi's like, no, I'm not being child friendly, and quite fucking right.
The thing is, though, like I remember that. Do you remember that one episode where they went back to when Danny was a kid?
Oh yeah.
And when Capaldi's Doctor was speaking to him, I liked that. That
episode really exemplified that. Oh, this is actually getting decent, and then the ending fucking let it down.
Yeah.
Because it made no fucking sense.
It's like, what is it that lurks underneath your bed? Oh, Jesus Christ, what is it? Oh, God, what could it be? Oh, there's nothing.
But what about all the times where there was something out there? Oh, no, there was just a figment of the imagination.
There was nothing there.
Also,
Clara, the reason why the Doctor thinks that is because Clara did that shit to him when he was a child.
It was such a
Can't we have one assistant character that's not tied to the Doctor's life in some way? Can't they just be a guy
Did it used to be
who happens to just get caught up in it all?
Yeah, it used to be that. It used to be, oh, they're just caught up. They're not. It's like, even in Russell T Davies, like, he started to make him more important. Like, oh, infecting the Doctor's life, but it was like they affected his life after the fact, not during the fact. Like, say, Clara holding onto his foot and causing his life like that. It's like,
oh yeah, and then remember how it turns out that Clara has been there throughout the Doctor's entire existence, secretly aiding him.
You mean the fanfic section of the bloody series?
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Fuck everything. Just seriously, Moffat, go away from Doctor Who and leave it alone. It's already been
go back to Sherlock.
And people aren't taking your shit anymore on Sherlock either. Like, this is minor spoilers for season 3 of Sherlock. I actually didn't know this because I hadn't read this tale of Sherlock's. But apparently, in the end of the episode, the finale of Sherlock season 3, which the story that it's based on, it wasn't Sherlock that killed the guy. It was actually meant to be a woman. Just like a random woman who was betrayed and twisted by the guy.
Oh.
But they changed it to Sherlock, and here's the reason, and it's like, oh wow, Moffat, really?
Oh god, I'm going to regret hearing this, aren't I?
Moffat changed it because he said, a random woman doing this, it makes no sense.
Really, Moffat?
You
of all people,
and that's not even more. Moffat and also sadly Mark Gatiss as well, and it's like, really, Gatiss, you should be better than this. Actually acted like, oh yeah, Watson was lying. They thought it was so nonsensical that just a woman did it that they actually went, oh yeah, Watson was lying. It was actually one of them, which isn't in the book. So yeah, Moffat and sexism. Hey, fucking dick.
I don't know if it's entirely because I've not read the original story that it's based on, so I don't know. But in probably most stories, yeah, that would sound pretty random. But if it's an established character in the story, then it's not entirely random then, is it? And again, Moffat saying, oh, it makes no sense. You write Doctor Who!
It's just the way they acted was like, really, guys? You're really gonna act like that? That's just... oh, God.
And it baffles me even more because, like, I know that some of the stories were obviously had some changes. They're not complete lifts from the original Arthur Conan Doyle stories.
Well, Hound of the Bloody Baskervilles was completely changed.
Yeah, like Hound of the Baskervilles, or like I remember, you know, the very first episode that they did where they find the dead woman and she's written out RACHE. Yeah. In the original story, she was writing out like German or something for revenge. But they changed it in the Sherlock episode so that she was actually writing out Rachel, which was what the police originally thought she was writing in the original story.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like, it's just saying that it's like, oh, it's completely random. It's like, fuck off.
It's really bad. It's just ugh. God, I fucking hate it. It's just.
I can't. Moffat just cannot, like, is not that good a writer. So to hear him act like as if he knows better than someone like Arthur Conan Doyle, it's like, what? Then again, I remember the very notion of Sherlock actively killing a guy pissed so many people off.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was all like, I can't remember the exact reason, but I think some people, I could be wrong here, but I think some people were sort of like, Sherlock just outright killing him was sort of like, well, how that's not a very satisfying way of beating him.
Yeah.
Or like, and I get, yeah, maybe that's part of the point, maybe it was meant to not feel all that satisfying.
Yeah. Maybe. But then again, that's most of Moffat's writing in a nutshell at the moment.
That said, though, I did really like the episode of John's wedding.
That was a good episode.
I really liked it because it was a very rare moment where Sherlock actually became a human being.
That was a really well done episode. I'll give it that.
Like when he does that whole speech about how he knows he's just an absolute prick and he's so grateful to have such a good friend, and everyone just starts crying, and he's like, "Did I do something wrong?" And he's like, John, what's going on? What did I do wrong? And John's like, you didn't do anything wrong, mate. Come here. And they just hug it out.
That's good writing, and that was actually well done. It's just... Ugh.
I also like the ending, where Sherlock twigs onto the fact that Mary's pregnant. And he's sort of a bit sad about it, because he feels like he's now going to be the third wheel. It's those moments of humanity from Sherlock that I absolutely love, because no matter how much of an emotionless bastard you can try to be, there's going to be something in there.
Oh, yeah. There will always be something.
I think that's just one of my favourite tropes when it comes to characters. Having a character that starts off as being just someone who, seemingly has no emotions or any connections to anybody, but as it goes on, either they start to reveal that they do, or they develop said emotions.
Yeah.
I'm just a sucker for that kind of thing.
That's definitely right.
I actually remember watching, only about a couple of weeks ago, Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
Oh god, that movie was so good.
Yeah, it's good. And Basil in that, obviously, he's essentially Mouse Sherlock Holmes. That's what he is.
Definitely.
And he's got the exact same thing, where he comes across as if he's completely oblivious to everybody's emotions. But there's a great scene where the little girl gets kidnapped, and Watson feels really guilty about it. And Basil's all like, "Oh my god, they've probably got far away by now. We're never going to catch them. What the hell?" And he sees that Watson's really dejected about this. He immediately just stops and he's like, "Watson, you okay?" He feels really bad. He does actively try to cheer him up at one point, and it's like, see. It's great.
It is.
That movie was good.
Just Vincent Price as the villain.
Yeah. Vincent Price got top billing in that film.
I think Vincent Price said that was his favourite film he ever did in his life.
Really?
Yeah. He said.
Oh, that's...
And considering how much work he did at that point, pretty fucking impressive.
I don't know if I put Basil the Great Mouse Detective in my top 10 animated Disney films, but it did. It was good.
It was really good. It was a good movie. Just very well done. Just so good. But
though it also did that thing where obviously I did that thing where I just was really overthinking it at points, because obviously there's this whole mouse community, and it's oh, Rattigan's going to replace the queen with a robot, and it's wait, there's a mouse queen?
Yeah.
Living in Buckingham Palace. What? And I'm sort of hang on a sec. And then also the Watson mouse. Oh no, Dawson. Dawson's his name, not Watson. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it's Dawson, not Watson. He has the exact same backstory as Watson. He was a doctor in Afghanistan. I'm okay, so this mouse is not only a doctor, he was stationed in Afghanistan. Does that mean there was a mouse war going on at the same time? Because there had to have been. There had to have been a mouse war with Afghani mice.
It's very well thought out.
That's my problem. I overthought it. I couldn't just be oh, it's talking mice. I'm sort of how are they doing this?
How does this work?
Also, Alan Young was in it, aka Scrooge. Oh, have you heard about this, James?
What?
They're doing another DuckTales cartoon.
Yes, and oh my god, they better not screw it up.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous ground. They better not
screw this up.
I hold no nostalgia for the original cartoon, but I know a lot of people do. Thing is, though, apparently Alan Young is going to come back for it, which is great, because he is the original. I hope
they keep the old 2D.
No, it's CGI.
Have they just said it's CGI?
I'm pretty sure they've confirmed it's CGI.
Oh, fucking no. No! Why?
Sorry, James. Because CGI is everything these days.
And it's shit.
Not always.
For TV shows, it really is.
Not really.
It looks terrible.
I like Transformers Prime. That was CGI.
It didn't look that good. It doesn't age well. You remember the old, Beast Wars and Beast Machines? Yeah. How they aged? They did not age very well.
Okay, Beast Wars did not age all that well in terms of
animation.
Of animation, yeah, but
in terms of story, yes, it did.
Its writing was so good that it didn't matter.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it still looked really bad, and still looks bad today. And why? No 3D, please.
My other problem is that Alan Young, bringing Alan Young back is also a good thing, because he was the original voice.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, he's 96. Dude's old.
It would be old, but awesome.
Like I heard his performance in DuckTales Remastered, which was like a remastered version of the original DuckTales game on the NES. They re-released it like a few years ago, and he did the voice in that. But you could tell there was a difference in his performance because he was very slightly softer in how he spoke. Like he did, there wasn't as much loud anger in it as there would have been in the original cartoon, which makes sense because again, he's old.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of other shows that come back. If they made it CGI, I'd be fucking horrified. Like, imagine if Ren and Stimpy came back as a CGI show.
It's not quite Ren and Stimpy, but there is an CGI Inspector Gadget show coming out this year.
Fucking hell! No, damn it! They need to get Frank Welker back if they do an Inspector Gadget series. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time. You know what? I think we need to talk about something good. I got some good news.
Oh, what's it? What is it?
Hyrule Warriors new DLC.
Oh yeah.
There's an extra mode.
Which is?
You get to play as the chickens.
Oh, the cuckoos.
Yes, you get to play as a massive cuckoo and wreak havoc on the battlefield.
Isn't that like something you have to unlock in the DLC first, though?
Probably.
Like, I think you have to, like, do a lot of stuff in order to unlock that thing.
Probably, but I'll take what I can get.
That's fine, I guess, but I still wanted Groose to be playable.
There's a few characters I wanted to be playable in Hyrule Warriors, but considering how well Hyrule Warriors has been doing and their DLC has been very fair, maybe we will get some more playable characters later on.
Somehow I doubt it. I feel like this will be the last. They said they were doing 4 DLC packs, and I feel like this would be the last one. Any more after that would just be like updates to improve performance or whatever.
Maybe. Remember they did do some free stuff as well. Like they made the free villains playable.
Yeah, they did.
That was really nice of them. Like I got it for Christmas. Like, oh, they've made free characters available straight away.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yay!
Though I wasn't big on playing as Wizro. He was a bit
Oh, he was shit.
Sia was all right. I like playing as her.
Sia and Volga.
Volga, that's his name.
Who's meant to be Volvagia from Ocarina of Time.
Or at least a different incarnation of him.
Yeah. Because he actually does turn into a dragon, and he is the Dragon Warrior.
He's like, is he a dragon that could turn into a human, or is he a human that could turn into a dragon? I can't remember.
Probably human that turns into a dragon.
Because I can't remember which way it is.
I think TM. I think... Shall we end this episode here? Because I think we've gone on all tangents.
Yeah, gone tangents everywhere, like we always do.
We ended up talking about Moffat and just...
everything.
Please leave. Please exit through the door on your right.
Dear Moffat, go away. Signed, James and Michael.
Yeah. Please do, and then you'll make us very happy.
Be great if you did.
Probably a lot of happy people. Oh my...
Just one note from us two saying, please leave. Well, they said I have to go.
We were like the last ones to finally get to him. He goes, you know what? Fine, fuck it, I'm going. It's like,
we're all just there like, bye. It's like that bit in Simpsons where like the real Seymour Skinner comes back and like they don't really like him all that much. So they literally just stick him on a train and run him out of town. But I'm a war hero. Yes, you are, and we salute you. Now don't come back. You can't get rid of me just because you like somebody else more.
Oh God. Yep. That's definitely.
And then we'll do what they did. That as soon as Moffat leaves, we'll just like everyone will have to sign an oath where we never mention Moffat's run of Doctor Who ever again under penalty of torture. God,
yeah. Yes. Yes. Just completely ignored that it ever happened. It was just a bad dream.
Reboot it again. Reboot the series again.
Yes. I am for this. I am so for this. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. Another drought news week. Hopefully we will get something more in the distant future. Hopefully. Please. But this is James saying goodbye.
This is Michael saying goodbye.
This is the Entertainment Dome signing off for this week, and we shall see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.